How policy links to people's lives is a mystery to most. You drive down one street littered with trash, not being swept or kept. Then just a few blocks down the street, it's clean. Why is that? Not a lot of folks see the line that divides communities, counties, cities, jurisdictions within these. The lines on the map are invisible, and we are going to discover how these invisible lines affect the lives of people. Those lines, they matter. Countless lives have been affected, have been injuriously treated, and have been cut out of justice because of the lines on the map.
But unfortunately, at most levels of government in most states, that process is controlled by the elected officials themselves. They usually have the power to draw their own districts or congressional districts. For congressional districts, it's often state legislators that do that, and that's a clear conflict of interest. And obviously what gets lost in the shuffle is the needs of the people.
There are huge differences depending on where you live in that map. To understand this map is how we come to understand the abuse of policy. And we are going to look at a topic known as gerrymandering. The online definition for gerrymandering is a practice intended to establish a political advantage for a particular party or group by manipulating district boundaries. These district boundaries determine how many people are affected by the policies that are put in place and the distribution of funds from one district to another within either a city or in a county region. In addition to achieving desired electoral results for a particular party, gerrymandering may be used to help or hinder a particular demographic, such as political, ethnic, racial, linguistic, religious, or a class group. For decades, communities of color have suffered poor city planning and have been affected by these gerrymandering techniques to keep resources away from those in need. Watts, for instance, has for years been a unique gerrymandered district in the city of Los Angeles. For a small 2.2 square mile space, Watts is bordered on all four sides by the county of Los Angeles, in the north, the south, the east, and even to the west side. There is a thin strip of land called the Harbor Gateway that connects Los Angeles to the port cities of San Pedro and Wilmington. This thin strip of land was to keep the Port of Los Angeles districted into the city of Los Angeles. And there's many good reasons for it. What does not make sense is how Watts, which is many miles north, is in the same district as San Pedro and Wilmington. When you look at the map, you can see the distance between these communities. The council district, CD15, is an extremely unique district in the nation. When you look at the population of these two communities, Watts has a population of 34,000. San Pedro and Wilmington combined have a population of over 188,000. What do these numbers tell you? If you think about it in terms of elections, ballot measures, allocations of funds, even simple things like street sweeping.
But the city treats us as if we're orphans that are monetizable to the system. And so when you look at redistricting, we are always gerrymandered, we're always considered unworthy of being self-sustaining or to develop our community as sustaining.
I'd say that the way you're grouped into a voting district impacts your ability to really have a voice as a community. You're not going to have a say, and you're not going to have a champion. And when you don't have a champion in the halls of government, you're at a huge disadvantage for the most important resources that help a community thrive. So
35,000 people in the city of Los Angeles has had an unfair representation for more than 90 years. They're a different community. There are different identities, different socio-political standings, and different demographics. When it comes to ballot measures, a simple flyering or a mailing can acquire enough votes in the port cities to overturn anything that the community of Watts would want to implement.
What I see is that the people in South Central and Watts in particular have been politically marginalized and oppressed, and they have been cast into a inferior and, if you will, subservient position in terms of the political structure and processes in the city of Los Angeles.
Watts schools, crime in Watts, housing issues in Watts, and dozens of other issues that plague this tiny community have everything to do with the standing Watts has in its district map. Why are we talking about these issues? Some people may think that Watts is only known for the rebellion of 1965 and the riot of 1992. Watts is a crucial community for the entire transit system of the city and county of Los Angeles. All major train lines meet in Watts. All major bus lines go through or near Watts. It is the most centrally located part of Los Angeles. It is 15 minutes away from the airport. It is 15 minutes away from the port. It's 15 minutes away from downtown, and it is 15 minutes away from the border of Orange County.
As a producer of work, Watts generates so much resources, and all of them resources has been funneled down to the Harbor Gateway, San Pedro, and I feel that that has not kept the best interest of Watts.
And when billions of dollars of merchandise and material, products and goods roll through Watts every day, how important do you think it is for business to make sure that this community does not have a voice? We believe in commerce. We believe in exchange of goods and service. We believe in work. But when you see the value of this community, the value of the products and all the things that come through it, how important is this community to business? When we look at the lines on the map, when we look how a small community, a small number of folks are cheated out of their voice, we understand that it has a lot to do with policy being dictated and not negotiated.
As much money that is coming into this community and as much eyes are on this community, this will be the prime focal point of any council district. The people that live here, 44,000 people that live in this 2.2 square miles, will be taken seriously and the points of wanting to make a community better instead of only at election time and census time.
They do not know how, especially with all of the policies and the potential repercussions that can come from it, because the reality is it was designed this way, and that's what everyone must realize. It was designed this way.
Fair application of policy, the injustice of access to needs, services that the community must have to advance. The access to clean air, clean water, and clean soil are fundamental rights that are guaranteed to the city of Beverly Hills just as much to Watts. The same rules that affect the rich on the west should affect the poor on the south. If a man has an injury in his knee, the whole body aches. You can see that the body is not separate from any joint or any limb or any finger. If one area of the body suffers, the entire body suffers.
So yeah, alternatively, they're not going to have somebody who's fighting for just basic essential resources, be they police and firefighters and education and just the myriad resources that any community needs to thrive and survive.
So what I want to speak to now is how the soul of a city can be extracted. The culture of a city can be extracted. The traditions, the heritage of a city can be extracted. And that's what happened to Watts.
The mayor now has declared that he's going to take $250 million from the police budget in order to infuse resources into underserved communities. What communities? What resources? Is Watts included in that equation? With all these new resources, is there going to be an impact in our community? Is our voice going to be heard? Are these resources going to impact our youth? And is it going to change the welfare and the well-being of the people who live here? The 1965 rebellion came from a degradation and a brutality that was not fixed in a fair, just, equitable manner to the community as a whole. In 1992, there was another outbreak of violence. When people clearly saw Rodney King being brutalized, that straw on the camel's back, enough was enough. There have been decades of torment in this community. No matter your status in this world, we are all human beings. We all deserve fair representation in this country. This is the land of the free, and now we fight to make sure that our little community has its voice. It is seen equally and is represented equally under the same law. For this future to come about, there must be a materialization of this hope. There must be a manifestation of this justice. Continue to learn from this series. We are looking to change the standing of Watts in the city of Los Angeles. And through that change, we will have better access to representation, better access to services, better access to education and the resources we need for the youth. Stand with us in this effort and be part of a historic move to bring change to the city of Los Angeles.